like in your folder, press like go on your path section, type there cmd, type there code space dot in your cmd, VS Code will open. So the prerequisite is you have to have VS Code in your like system, and you need to have the path of VS Code in your environment variables. All right. So if you guys are thinking that it's too much complex, so you can just open a normal editor, text editor, and you can look into other things later. So what we will do is first we will create an index.html file. All right, this is index.html. So I want everyone to go along with me in this particular walkthrough, right? So there is a shortcut in VS Code. Actually, like those who don't know, we use VS Code for writing code, means it makes all the stuff very much easy. So if we just type exclamation mark here and hit enter, so we get the total template, means whole template we are getting. So if you guys are following the videos whichever I'm sending you of HTML or CSS, I think that they must be using this particular core editor itself. And even if it's another, it doesn't matter, but this is one good option. Most of the developers are using VS Code, right? So if we hit, I will again show you guys. If we type an exclamation mark, so this is actually called emet. So this is emet abbreviation, right? So if you type exclamation mark here, you in a small like pop-up thing, you get whatever text is going to be added in this particular index.html file. So when you hit enter, so we get this template. And I think that you guys must be acquainted with basic HTML, so we are not going deep into that. Okay, just a minute. Yes, so we are not going deep into that. We will just create a normal like something. I will write here h1 and I will just type here DevCrusade. All right, and we will change the title with I can again repeat that thing. That's not an issue. All right, good. So if you guys have to start the live server, if you guys have to open this in your browser, so there are two options. One option is you can just like directly click on this index.html. It will open up this page in browser. But downside of that thing is if you guys edit the code here, and you guys have to uh, have to see the reflected changes in that particular file. So it is like a little bit longer method to have those things reflected. So you can just see below here, it's written go live, right? So you can click on this go live. And yeah, this is actually an extension in VS Code. So if it's not available in your VS Code editor, you can just click on extensions here. You can just click here and you can type here live server. So you guys have already done with HTML, so you guys must be doing all these things. So type live server, then you can get all the like content here. Yes, so this one is that which we are using, live server, right? So I will press Control B, and there are number of options, number of shortcuts available in VS Code. So to boost your productivity, I will suggest you guys one thing, that you guys should watch like an extra video on shortcuts of VS Code. I think that it won't be longer than 15 or 20 minutes, or even if it is just for your benefit. Right, so you can watch that video and you can just in short note down whatever shortcuts are there. Like for example, you have to repeat this particular line, copy paste. So you don't have to like go in the longer method, like just copy this thing and control C and then enter, then control V. So this is long method, right? So you can just take your cursor here and you can just press shift alt and down. So this will copy the whole thing, right? And if you have to copy and like total section, then you can also do that with the same method. So there are number of shortcuts available even to run your code. If you are using Python or C++, there are number of shortcuts, so you can go with that. So if you guys are still with me, are following along with me, I want a thumbs up in the chat or thumbs up on your screen. Yes. All right, good. I want everyone to stick with me because this is not going to be a long session. It will be just of 10 to 15 minutes and then we will done with it. So our live server has already started and we can see here it's written DevCrusade, right? And this is index.html. So whatever this particular thing is, this one is IP address. So if you guys have done with computer network subject in your college, you must be knowing that, or even this is a normal like knowledge. And this is the port which is on which our server is running 5501. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so for example, now you have created the whole HTML website or HTML CSS website, and you have to host it for free. Okay, you have to like create a means host it somewhere and create a link, and when you share that link with others they will be able to see or access your website. So how do we do that, right? So okay, so for example, we can add a certain files here. We can also add a style.css. Now I won't go with the process of linking and all stuff. There are two files currently, index.html, style.css, and your other folders will also be there. For example, there can be a media folder, right? And in that media folder you can have your pics or photos or images and videos and whatever that stuff you want, and you have created the complete whole website. Right now what you have to do is you have to host this website online. So what we will do is we will open our GitHub. We have to log in into our GitHub, right? So we will do that thing now. So just open your GitHub as well and log in into it. I will just open up my GitHub. So I have been using GitHub for a long time now. Whatever projects and all the other thing I am doing, I just upload all the things to GitHub, because by chance if it happens that the laptop, like there is some or the other problem in laptop, or even if I have to access that code from some other system, then I can just log into my GitHub account, or even we don't need to log in, we can just have the link. For example, I will share one link with you guys. So let's, yeah, this is our main link, right? This is what we are doing right now. So if I just share this link with you in the chat box, you will be able to access the whole repository. Though you won't be able to make the changes and all in that repository, you will just be able to read or download or do a basics, like basic stuff, and not replace or write anything, but you will be able to access the repository, right? So you can just share the repository name of your code and all. And even when you are like creating your resume and you have to show something to your recruiter, so you can just add the GitHub link. If you have hosted a website, then you can give that hosted website link in your resume. Or if there is a GitHub repository, like if you have a like Jupyter file or something, then you can give the GitHub link of that file, right? So before going ahead, I will share my profile with you guys. Okay, and what you guys have to do is you guys can just follow me on GitHub, because we are going to have number of things hosted on GitHub. For example, right now we have this full stack roadmap already on my GitHub. So you guys are going to access that. So what I want is just click on this link and you can open my GitHub profile, and you just have to follow my profile, right? So I will wait for you guys for a minute. If when you are done with it, give me a thumbs up in the chat, or you can like type yes. I'm giving you a minute, go ahead with it. Yes, anyone done? All right. So I think that you guys are done. So without wasting any further time, further ado, we will start with our thing. So now where were we? We have created a folder in which we have our website. There are actually three folders: media, index.html, and style.css. Just ignore this VS Code folder. As we started terminal, as we started VS Code from terminal, that's why this extra folder is. You guys can just ignore that one. So we have to make this folder like online. We have to create host a website, right? So just click on your profile icon and click, all right, so click on this plus icon actually, and click on new repository. So this page will open up, then you can give a name to your repository. So let's consider that this is your like portfolio website, right? So you can just write here portfolio website. I'm just like randomly doing that thing. Okay, so I already have a portfolio website here, so I can write just portfolio website one. Alright, this works. So portfolio website one is my repository name, and you have to keep your repository name thinking that like considering the thought that this name will be visible in your like link in your URL of your website, right? So if you're a portfolio website, just keep normal portfolio website, just type there normally, don't add there any symbols or any extra thing, because that will be going to visible, that will be visible in your URL. So this is what it is. Then what we will do is, there is one readme, add a readme file, so you can just tick this option. I will tell you once we have created the repository. So this is portfolio website one, add a readme file. Then there is option of public and private. So here there are two ways. If you keep the option public and you share the like GitHub link, then anyone can access the code of your website. Just like I shared this full stack full stack link, right? So anyone can access that code. But if you keep private, if you choose private, then no one will be able to access your code. Okay. And one advantage of this thing is, there is one advantage that if you keep it private, even then you can host your website will be visible to everyone, right? So there are two options, you can go with public or you can go with private. Even if you go with private option, your website after hosting will be visible to everyone. So for now we'll keep it public. Then click on add a readme file, and you can ignore all this stuff and you can click on create repository. So it will create a repository. Now this was the name, which this is the repository name, and this is readme.md. So what is readme.md? I will tell you in short. When there is a like bigger code base, or when you visit any bigger organizations GitHub, for example, there is one PyTorch organization, and I can just type here PyTorch GitHub. So this is actually a library which is related to Python. Okay, so you can see that this is the whole code base of their organization. You can find your number of files and all that stuff. And this is readme.md. So as you can observe here, readme.md is nothing but an informative file. You can just, this is just a documentation, you can go through it and have a basic understanding that what this code base is about. Okay, so they have added number of links and number of, like, there is a table. So all this is marked down. You can even create this in your readme.md. Whenever you are like creating a lot of code, you are writing a lot of code and you have created a complex website, or even if you have created a basic website, in this readme.md you can add the stuff, whatever tech stack you have used and all that basic stuff, so that people can understand that what this repository is about, right? So that is why readme.md is used. It is actually optional, but it is a good like developer thing that you should add a readme.md in your GitHub repo, right? So we will go here. For now I'm adding nothing in this readme.md. Now you have to upload the files, so we can click on add files and just click on upload files. There is one create new file option, but we actually, means I personally rarely use that. Now what the thing is, if we click on choose your files, so it will open our this Windows File Explorer, and we can go into our folder websites. Okay, so it's just website. I already had a website folder, all right. So one downside of using this choose your files option is you have to upload everything one by one, because there is no option of multi-select. Even you can see, if you select select this folder and you press shift and down button. All right, so I think that it is working. Okay, fine, no problem. So you can even do that, or there is one more option, you can just drag and drop the folder, which I personally prefer. So I think that this doesn't happen, means multi-select option doesn't work in if the like code base is huge. So it will copy the whole whatever contents are there. All right, so this is what you can do. Or another option is which we just now spoke about, just that multi-select option, right? You can just multi-select and click on open. Okay, so this is uploading. Then there is one option of commit changes. So you have to add something here. So it's by default it's written add files via upload. So what we do is, whenever we are doing any change in the repository or doing any updation in the code, then there is this option of adding a message. It is called commit message. So in this commit message, you will type something that whatever change you have done in short. Okay, don't use shortcuts here, but you can type something which is pretty much understandable to other coders, that whatever change you have done, what was that particular change for. So here we are writing here add files by upload. Then I will commit the changes. I have not changed anything. So it says processing your files. This may take a few minutes. Okay, so currently in my repository, you can see index.html, style.css, and this website folder. So actually, this website folder is, you can say, if you open this, index and style is in this. So what we want is, when we open our GitHub repository, okay, so I completely backed out from that. When we open our GitHub repository, then we want our index.html and style.css in this particular page itself. We shouldn't have to go in particular folder and then we can access the index.html and style.css, right? So make sure that your index.html is visible, especially this particular file index.html is visible when you are opening your repository right there, right? So if you are along with me till here, give me a thumbs up so that I can go with the final stage of hosting. Okay, so I think that we can move ahead. So make sure that index.html and style.css and whatever other stuff is right in this particular page itself. Then what we will do is we will go to settings. Okay, and after going to settings of your repository, here you will find pages in this particular area. So these are general settings. This is access, and then in code and automation, your last option is pages above security. So pages, what is pages? It's called GitHub pages actually. So GitHub pages is nothing but the section of GitHub where we can host our website, right? So we can click on these pages. So when we click on the pages, this particular section opens up which says GitHub pages and a little bit of information on pages. So here you can see all that stuff. Now what you have to do is, in this branch section here, there are like this drop down menu option. So click on that. It is by default none. Click on that and click on main. Select the main option, right? So we have selected the main option. By default it was none. It was something like this. Then we went with the main option. Then it looks like this. So you don't have to change anything here. Just keep it as it is, this root particular option, and then click on save. So this will save our thing, right? Then just wait for a minute or two. Actually, now what is happening, when we click on save, the GitHub repository accesses wherever the index.html is. Of course, I told you that it has to be on your front, means on the top level of your repository. So it accesses that index.html, and then it fetch that all the data whichever is required for that particular like hosting the site. So if we refresh now, so I think that changes should be visible. Refresh again. Okay, so I think that it's taking a little bit longer. Not a problem. I can click on code here. Yes. So if you guys click on code, we were in settings. Now we clicked on codes. This is the code. This is the first option, right? And scroll down. Then in this environment section, you can find your GitHub pages in progress. In this environment section, you can just scroll down a little bit, and here you can find GitHub pages in progress, right? So just click on this GitHub pages. Click on the GitHub pages option. Then your GitHub pages section opens up, and there is an option of view deployment. Okay, so what we have done, we have just deployed a website on GitHub pages. So you can click on GitHub pages, and and okay, and our website is live. right? DevCrusade. So this is live actually, and this is the link. You can just access the link in the URL section, and I can even paste this link in the chat box, and you guys will be able to access this site. Okay, no, I think that you guys will be able to access. So are you guys able to access the site? Are you guys able to open the site? Tell me in the chat box, or you can give a thumbs up. Yes? Yes. Yeah. So there is one drawback of using GitHub for hosting. Actually, it's not a drawback, but of course, the thing is that you can host only one website from one GitHub account. Okay. So if you have to host another website, a second website, it won't work actually if the previous one is already in progress, like already deployed. So you guys can host only one website from one GitHub account. So if you have to host any another website, you can just create second GitHub account, and you can do like whatever accessing and all, like hosting and all, right? So this is pretty much it. We have deployed our website. So of course, why did I tell you this hosting? Because in the next week, you guys first have to do one project, one basic project of HTML and CSS, where you will create a portfolio website, just a basic one. We won't be investing much time in that, because after that we will be learning JavaScript. So using JavaScript, your website will be very much engageable. So that's why our main first basic portfolio website will be using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. All right. So what you guys have to do, you guys have to upload the website on GitHub, and later you can share the link with me. So if you know, like, okay, I will do one thing. Okay, if you go in the code section and scroll down and see here, it's written GitHub page is active, right? So this is where our website is active. This shows that our website is active. Okay. Now, if you yes, one more thing I will tell you, that if you go in index.html and you guys can edit the code here, and if I edit the code, I can do here one thing. I can add another h1 tag here, h2 I will add, and I can write here my name, and I will close this h2 tag. So there is again commit changes. So it by default says update index.html. So I will give more like deeper information about that. I will say here added h2 for name. So this pretty much clears up whatever changes I have done, and then you don't have to do anything here. You can just click on commit changes. So our changes are done, and why and yes, and if you click on this environment section again, then this deployment page will open up. And if you just give it some time, like 1 or 2 minutes, then it will be updated in that link also. So it takes a little bit time, 1 or 2 minutes. All right, so I think that it must be done. Okay, so now it says queued. So this is updating. GitHub is updating our website. So why did I tell you about this? Is because at times what happens, that you have to make a small change in your website. You have hosted the website, but you have to like check something out or update a very small thing. Then you don't have to upload that file again. You can just update this site locally in the GitHub website. Okay, so I think that it must be hosted now. Yes, so it is deployed. Now, when you click on view deployment, okay, so this is updated. Now it says Himanshu Agarkar, right? So this is what I'm talking about. You can even change or do some changes in the code locally using the GitHub itself, right? So this is pretty much it. Now, just the last thing which I would like to tell you guys to do is I will open up the LinkedIn profile. All right. So we already have 85 followers on our DevCrusade page. So I will paste the link I was able to join network problem before. Yeah, sure. Okay, I will look into that. I have the recording. I will look into that. How to stop the deployment. So it's pretty much easy. Okay, just let me complete this small thing. I've added the link. You just have to follow our DevCrusade page, right? So this is it. Now, how to stop the deployment, we will see. So if you click on GitHub pages again, environments and environment section. So I think there is not an option of stopping the deployment. So click on settings and again go to pages. So previously, what we did is by default it was none at the branch. Then we selected main, right? So just click on none again and then hit save. So I think that this will work out. This will stop the deployment. Just wait for a couple of minutes and we will update the code. Go to the code section. You will get the URL of your like your website in this particular through this particular section. Okay, through the environment section. So we'll click on that, and it has not yet been updated. So you can see whatever changes you are doing in your repository and mainly about deployment. So it gives a list, it gives a history of that particular thing, right? So previously we just had DevCrusade on the home page, then we deployed, then previously it said view deployment here. Then what we did, we added like my name, you guys must have added your name. So it said that previous deployment is inactive and the next deployment is active. Okay, so this gives us the history. So this is not yet updated, I think. If I click on view deployment, okay, so this is still, yes, now this has been updated. So as you can see that when I reload the page, it says there isn't a GitHub pages site here. Now, why even it is saying that there isn't a GitHub pages site? How does it know that this is a GitHub pages site? So in the URL, you can see this URL is nothing but first one is the username of your GitHub, and second one is their domain name github.io, and the last part is about your repository name. Okay, so as I said you earlier, your repository name is very much important because it defines or it is included in your URL. So this is something important to look upon. Okay, so I think that your doubt is clear. You can just go in the settings and you can change the option from main to none as it was before, right? So if you guys have any doubts, you can ask those now. If anyone has any doubts, okay. So once again, I will remind you just a small thing that we already have. I think that these must be updated again. 399. Oh, oh, nice, nice, nice. So we are reaching 400. We are reaching the count of 400 almost. So we will be having almost 400 registrations for this particular programming language basics and complete DSA course. So I just want every one of you to share the link, share the message. I will ping this, ping the message which I have sent in our unofficial group again if you want, or you can just copy the message from there and share with your friends, right? So this will definitely help me because you guys are already part of our community. We are already learning a lot of things. In future we are going to learn React and Node.js and all. So you guys are core part of this community. You guys are first among the first members of this community, so it's your responsibility to share this opportunity. Is of course free, so share with your family members if anyone of them is learning coding and all, or whoever the relevant person might be. Okay, so if you guys don't have any doubts, we can like stop here. You guys can leave this meet now, and if anyone has any doubt, you guys can ask. So thank you for joining.